Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to the BSTV Poopcast. We are on episode TWAT, and joining me as usual is Mr. Pete Bingham. Good evening.
Good evening, Clyde. Good evening, everybody.
How are you tonight for a start?
I'm all good, preparing for the BSTV barbecue, and making enough room in my house for the invasion.
I wouldn't quite call it an invasion, mate, but you know.
Maybe I've just been playing too much Hell Let Loose then with Wobbly and Gary and Co.
Yeah, could be. What's going on? I have some really weird things going on my stream at the moment, but not to worry, we will get through it. So, tonight, Pete, usual format for the Poopcast. We have got the news. We have got all of our league information. So, GT4 TCR, Alt F4 V8. And from our opening picture, our iRacing wag tonight is Mary Jackson, wife of Mr. Chris Jackson. So, it's going to be a good one. Stay with us. We've got plenty to talk about. And let's see where it goes. Right, Pete, let's hit the news. So, we've had a new iRacing build. We've had some possible interesting things added. Shall we talk about the tracks first? Sandown. What do you reckon to that? I'm just going to put a little picture of it on the screen for the folks at home.
So
big V8 track, isn't it? Obviously,
massive. It's like a V8 Mecca. This one, really, isn't it? It's around. Is this one that's around an aerodrome or not? It looks like it should be, but there's definitely an old oval in there, isn't there?
Yeah, by the looks of that picture, which was robbed straight from iRacing.
Ah, right. I've seen it plenty of times on the telly. I have never driven it. I own it, but I've never done a lap of it. But it is a power track, isn't it? You've got some heavy accelerating zones out of turn 4 and turn 7. You've got a bit of a chicane going on towards the end of the lap. It's just a draft and power track, in my opinion. And when I say just, I mean that in a positive, because that's for V8s. If we ever went there with the F4s, for instance, I think that would be a fantastic track for cars like that. Cars that you get massive slipstream benefit from over a long duration, because some of the straights around Sandown are massive.
Yeah, it's. I think they call it the home of horsepower.
Right. Okay. In that case, that absolutely backs up what I was saying. It's a proper racetrack. Now, I've heard rumours, and I don't know how well founded these rumours are, that it might be being made into a housing estate. You know, like Gingerman and Oran Park. They've both succumbed to that, haven't
they? I think that rumour has been round for quite a while, and I think a lot of the V8 fans, especially, were praying to the iRacing gods that they was going to scan it and release it before it disappeared, and looks like their prayers were answered. But I'm sure we're going to see that at some point during this season on at least one of our series. Now, the other track, Pete, Fuji.
Yeah. I'm on the fence with this one. I've never driven it.
Yeah, I'm not. Well, I'm not a big lover of the Japanese tracks anyway.
Suzuka's good.
Yeah, I've just never got on with them. I know, you keep telling me that the grip's improved and things like that, but I've just never got on with the slippery surfaces and things like that. But again, I've not driven this track in this game anyway. I don't even know if I own it yet. I've not looked at it because I don't own it, but I'm told it is visually stunning. But lots of people are having to turn lots of settings down because it's affecting PC performance.
I've bought it because I buy all the new content as it comes out.
Because you're too rich.
I don't know about that. Anyway, I think I might not like this track, and do you know why? I read after I'd bought it that this has been tampered with by Tilke.
Yeah, I know you can't really see much on there, but there does look to be some big runoff areas and things like that, don't they?
Yeah, I'm wondering around 100R and 300R if it's just going to be oceans and oceans of colourful tarmac. Like I say, I've not actually turned a lap on it, so I know that it's clearly another power track, a bit Suzuka-esque if you look at the turns that are on it. You've got the S's section there after the hairpin and before the hairpin, and then you've got obviously that massive straight which you have at Suzuka as well. Another drafting zone could be good in V8s, that one actually. See how that. It'd be interesting to see how wide it is. I know that Sandown's not the widest track, is it? But I know that some of the Japanese ones, Suzuka's massively wide. You can drive buses around there, three wide.
Yeah, that last section looks, should we say, interesting.
In an Australian vernacular,
10 down to 16.
Yeah, it looks gnarly, doesn't it? Yeah, I reckon that's got some challenges in it. Again, I always like to take the V8s around these tracks. That gives me a good feel for what it's going to be like in things like the high downforce cars, front wheel drive cars. If I can get around it in a V8 without crashing too much, then I'll be okay in other cars.
Yeah, and interesting to see the Japanese corner naming convention in full effect there with 100R and 300R.
Yeah, definitely Suzuka influenced, isn't it? You know, oh dear, I don't know why they have to quote the radii on it. I mean, 300R is about 4 turns. It doesn't look like it's going to be anything like that.
But I'm actually, it's one that I am actually looking forward to having a drive round, a Sunday drive, and just taking in all the sights. Apparently, Mount Fuji is very prominent, so let's hope iRacing have done it justice. So they're pretty much the tracks that are likely to appear in our series. And then we've got this new beast of a car, the Mercedes AMG GT4. And we've already seen this in action because the new season of GT4 TCR has started. And it certainly looks good, Pete. I don't own it, so I don't know what it's like to drive.
Yeah, I bought it. It sounds incredible. It sounds just like... Oh, you can feel the thud of the engine going through your seat. It's just fantastic, this one. I think it's got more style to it than some of the other GT4s. The Porsche looks a bit dumpy now, doesn't it, compared to the Aston Martin? The Aston Martin's very similar in its stylishness to the AMG. And the BMW is obviously a rolling brick. So... yeah, I think this one's going to do well. They dropped the McLaren out of that equation. It's a funny one to drop, isn't it?
Yeah. I used to like that car. And then obviously the final piece of news. I suppose it's news for us more than anybody else. But we've got a bit of a BSTV get together going on at Croft this coming weekend for the British touring cars. There's obviously Pete and myself. Wobbly Kneecaps is coming over. Gary Craig. I'm told Adam Wright and maybe even Carl Hardy. Pete is hosting us all at Castle Bingham, so that's looking like a fun weekend and some fun weather looking at the weather forecast.
For about 40 days, it only rains on 2 of them, and that's the 2 of them that you lot are there. Yeah, it's called Bingham Towers, by the way. Just so you get the
castle. Purely, have you got more than 3 bedrooms?
Yes.
And are you a princess?
Yes.
Then it's a castle.
You missed a car, by the way.
Did I?
The new Radical.
Yeah, but that's not in our series, so...
No, I know, but it's still a car that's on the service.
I'll tell you what, then. Well, let's have a chat about it, because I know absolutely... I've seen a picture of it. I know absolutely nothing about it. I've seen it race in real life, and it sounded fantastic. The old Radical, which I can't remember what model that was, but we did quite a few races in that, didn't we?
It's the SR8.
That was an awesome car to drive. Very tricky, but very good.
Well, let me introduce you to an untamed beast. Have you got a picture of it or not? No, not on the screen. No. The new one, you know how the old one had like uber downforce?
Yeah, too much.
You could, this one doesn't. But this one, when you accelerate, you know when you're driving the V8 and you think, "Ooh, that's got a bit of acceleration." Your vision, it cons you, doesn't it? That you feel like you're in the car if you've got like triples or you've got one of those massive panoramic screens or you're in VR. It tricks you into thinking you are actually accelerating. The Radical is unbelievable. The new one, the SR10. The punch out of it is just astonishing. It makes you think that the other one was sluggish, but it tries to murder you in corners because it's one of those cars again, Clyde. Like we know the Dallara where we weren't driving fast enough to hold it down.
Yes,
it's exactly like that. It's awful in certain respects in the first 2 laps. After the first 2 laps, it's friggin' brilliant. Honestly, you can throw it into corners. I'm terrible in it. Gary's brilliant in it. He set the fastest time in a couple of sessions when we were in it, but he liked the old one as well. So he's absolutely attuned to it already. And we were throwing it around Road Atlanta for the officials this week, but we didn't actually do an official race. And it's great fun. It's a blast.
Right. Okay. Well, I may just have to buy that then and see what it's like, because I really did enjoy the old one, but the old one had been out for absolute donkey's years, hadn't it? And
a million years.
I think I may have been at, where did I see them race? Maybe Cadwell Park, which for all intents and purposes is a bike track and very difficult to overtake on. But these guys in this Radical series were just throwing them around like there was no tomorrow. They were sideways, backwards. I think there was one upside down. As a spectator sport, it was absolutely fantastic. I just don't know who was getting the repair bills. Any other news for you, Pete?
No, not that I know of. Like you say, just the BSTV barbecue and get together, which hopefully won't result in me being exonerated by the rest of my street.
Or your team.
That's true as well. Yeah, I never thought of that. Never mind. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. Hopefully. Yeah.
Well,
I'm looking forward to it.
Anybody else planning on going to Croft next weekend? Give us a shout, and you can come and meet your idols. That was a bit much, wasn't it? Yeah.
I don't know. I think people pray to the Whiting Bingham altar.
Yeah, could be true. Okay, let's leave the news then, Pete, and let's get on to the first of our series that we like to talk about, and that is the BSTV GT4 TCR Challenge. We have literally just started season 9, I think it is. It's been going quite a while, as you can all guess. Bear in mind there's 4 seasons per year. Now, this season, Pete, iRacing decided they wanted to take this in a different direction, and they've basically split up the GT4s and the TCRs. However, our motto of don't fix what isn't broken, we've carried on regardless. Like you said earlier, the McLaren has been dropped from the GT4s, being replaced with the Mercedes AMG. And it looks like we're in for another fantastic season. We've only had one round, Pete, but it's all action so far.
Yeah, I'm not driving it at the minute. I might do. I've got a new job, so I'm learning that, and I wanted to do some F4 with Gary in the officials. So I'll see how I can fit this in at certain points. But the GT4 looks incredible. I did watch it. As you probably knew, I was dropping into the interview room just in case you needed an expert, of course. Interesting, Wobbly didn't win. Dominic Savicki, or Sawicki, however you say his surname, we like to butcher them in BSTV. He was very, very competent and capable, wasn't he? He's been in other leagues of ours, hasn't he?
Yeah, I knew, I recognised the name when he signed up. And just a quick look at some past seasons, found him as quite a high up top 10, top 5 driver in the V8 series. And
Yeah.
I think it proves, doesn't it? If you can wheel that V8, you can pretty much wheel anything.
Yeah. Generally put the V8s around new tracks just to see how I get on, because I was serious before. If I can get around a track in a V8 without dying too many times on a lap, then I know that I've got the right lines, the right corners. I don't do them very quick, but yeah, people should try the V8, even if they're frightened of it. But yeah, Simon Trendle did very well, winning, and he's taken that on from last season, hasn't he? He's floated to the top of that very, very well. And Stephen Walker joining the GT4s from the TCRs.
Yeah, I actually made a note of that to talk about, because he's what is he, a 3-time winner in, sort of 3-time champion in TCR. Decided he wanted a new challenge. Swapped over to the GT4, and I think it's fair to say he had a bit of a disaster.
I mean, there was some behind him. He's getting used to a new field, isn't he? In a new car. Whilst he is very, very competent in that TCR, I don't know what he drives beyond that, to be honest. It might be just that he's settling into that vehicle. The fact that he got around, I saw him, having challenged him for position a few times. He did. Was there something with pit stops? Because when I was watching, they had issues, didn't they?
It was hilarious. So
go on, explain that.
Well, the way it was explained to me, and this was by Sam Blees, is, obviously while you're driving along, you're setting up your pit stop and things like that. And because it was the east layout and the pit entry is a wee bit strange, it's basically an extreme hard right. As you took that right, it reset all of your tyres and fuel load. So drivers weren't realising too late that was happening. Because when I asked Sam, did he take 2 or 4, he said 1. And I went,
saw that bit of the interview.
I didn't know you could take one. And he was like, I noticed it was changing my tyres and managed to untick all of them apart from one. So yeah, that threw a few spanners in the works for drivers at Motegi. I don't think we'll have those sort of issues at Watkins Glen this week, but
No.
yeah, it was very interesting. For me, it took the win away from Spencer McCarthy. I think he was. I think even Sam admitted it. He was at least a couple of tenths a lap quicker. But yeah, not his reactions weren't quick enough with the pit stop. So he ended up taking 4. Sam took 1, and Sam wins the race.
Yeah, and we struggled last season and possibly the season before for a decent field of GT4s, but none of that this season. 15 racers have signed up. Not all of them raced, obviously. Not all of them can race every week. And that's fine. But a few that have migrated across from TCR, Stephen Walker being the most prominent, I would say. And then we've got Ollie Ricks and Roger Morton, who were both TCR drivers last season. So, yeah, I think the GT4 field is nice and healthy in that league.
Something that I made a note of about the GT4s outnumbering the TCRs. Another sign up, probably must be something to do with Dominic Savicki, I think. A guy called Hugo, absolutely no idea how to pronounce his surname. That's not his surname. And I'm not even going to try it until I've spoken to him and got some sort of idea on how to pronounce it. Or failing that, we will just give him a new name like we do everybody else. But yeah, so we're still attracting new drivers. You know, you could almost put your house on it right now that it's going to go down to the wire. Because it always does. What about wobbly kneecaps picking the BMW? Now, that car hasn't had any love since, well, I don't know, probably since the Hindenburg burned. But
yeah.
Wobbly decided he wanted to try something different. And from talking to him, I think he actually enjoyed it in a weird sort of way.
Well, it's the first time he's driven the BMW. He drove that a few seasons ago, and he
did, yes.
Either won with it or got very close to winning. So it's not new to him as such. I think he just wanted to drive the car that nobody else did and see how well he did. It's a nice personal challenge, I suppose, and you're right. It's the one that's had the least updates, the least balancing of performance. I hate the term. That might be my Garage 101 for next season, next time. Because I just find that so annoying. And yeah, he's decided I'm going to make a challenge out of this for myself, and why not? We all know he's highly capable. I told you he's in a Radical League with a load of Dutch racers, and he turned up in the first week having not practiced at all, really. I think he'd done the hour practice before the race, and he won it by about 12 seconds. He's just annoying in how good he is at games and racing sims and stuff. Yeah, I mean, he's doing well with it as well, isn't he? Third, I mean, well, compared to the other cars.
He's not going to challenge Simon Trendle, is he, in that BMW? I don't think.
Probably not. No.
Is it a bit of... See, I would have loved to have seen Wobbly and Simon in the same car going at it again.
Yeah.
But, you look at... Let me get the standings up for people. Now, I know we've only had one race. But, Dominic Sawicki he's going to give it to both of them, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Now, I have no idea what sort of skill level his teammate Hugo is at, but if he's up there, a lot of them points can change hands in a lot of races, can't they? And
No.
Is Wobbly going to be able to hang on to the coattails in the BMW? There's 3 drivers from 3 different teams up there at the moment. Now, Simon Trendle's teammate, Jamie Wilson, yes, he's got wins in him, but doesn't turn up every week. We know nothing about Dominic's teammate. And we know Rob Venn is Wobbly Kneecap's teammate, and he can be right up there when he wants to be. So, we could get into those, I hate to say multi-21, but we could get into some of them scenarios, couldn't we, where one teammate is supporting the other teammate.
That's what these team races are all about, isn't it? We have a team championship, we have an individual championship, and I think you will get that. I think that's healthy for the league. It shows that we've got camaraderie as well as safe driving. And others need to watch out because they need to bring their teammates to the party as well, don't they? That's part of the game, isn't it? It's how can you lever an influence in a legal, is that right term? I don't know, in a sportsmanship way, I think that's going to add a really good dimension to it.
Yeah, well, we haven't banned team orders or anything like that. It's up to the individual drivers within their teams to sort that out amongst themselves. Obviously, in certain series, we've also seen blue on blue where teammates take each other out.
Yeah.
But, in GT4, another driver that we haven't mentioned yet, but was extremely quick round Motegi was Stefan Goebel.
Now, Stefan sometimes turns up and is brilliant. His single lap pace is astonishing. He's been close to getting a win on a number of occasions and just never managed it. I think he's also improving. He may not be someone that spears to the top of the table and suddenly becomes the best driver of all leagues, etc. But he is a slow burner, and his improvement is tangible. It's only a matter of time before he wins a race, I think.
Yeah, I think the only thing going against him this season, we know he's a bit of a German track specialist, and guess what? There's no German tracks on the schedule this season.
No, and he's decided to stay with the German car as well, hasn't he?
Yes.
And not the new one. He's not driving the Mercedes, is he? He's still in the Porsche.
He is indeed.
Yeah. And, when you look at Simon, Dominic, Rob Venn, Jamie Wilson, so 4 out of the top 5 are Mercedes-Benz. Obviously, Wobbly is driving a BMW, and Stefan's driving the Porsche. So, will that be a disadvantage to him? I don't know. He obviously likes the Porsche. He likes how it handles. He likes that floaty bounce that it's got to it. It can take curves better than most of the others. He's obviously got that in his makeup, that he likes that style of car, that style of handling. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I don't know that he's going to be able to keep up with those Mercedes.
Well, we'll find out. The schedule looks fairly tasty. Let's just have a quick run through it. So, the first quarter of the season, obviously we've had Twin Ring Motegi East, which was Simon Trendle's choice as the GT4 and Driver of the Season champion. We then go to Watkins Glen Boot, which is should be a bread and butter track for pretty much everybody. I don't think there's many people that haven't done 40 billion laps around Watkins Glen. And then first unknown, round 3 is Sandown, Pete. Now, we was just talking about the track and how it's going to be, or how they call it, the home of horsepower. And the GT4s and the TCRs are not known for horsepower, but they are known for 73 cars under a blanket. And Sandown looks like one of them tracks, doesn't it, where it's going to be absolutely impossible to get away from anybody.
Yeah, it's going to be draft central. Even if you lose it through the bendy bits, you'll still be able to pick it up in the straights. That one's going to... and I suppose Watkins Glen... No, Watkins Glen isn't like that, really, is it? That one, you've got to be hitting your apexes and, approaching the corners sensibly because there's lots of them. But Sundown, that one you can pick up if you fall backwards somewhat. Then we go to Mosport, which always provides a decent racing event, doesn't it? And it's an enduro as well, isn't it? If I remember,
cracking track that. That's we've thrown two 90-minute endurance races into this season. The first of which, like Pete says, at Mosport, or Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, to give it its official name. And then round 5, Belle Isle. That was the choice of Stephen Lucky Walker, the TCR champion. Now, that always throws a curveball, doesn't it, Pete?
It does, and it's a surprise that he's chosen a track where you can die on virtually every corner to drive in a car that's brand new to him. So he'll be in the Darwin Awards, won't he, if he ends up ruining his car at Belle Isle, the track that he chose.
Simon Trendle has set a precedent, hasn't he? He picked Twin Ring Motegi and won. Therefore, Stephen Walker, you're going to have to bet on him to win at Belle Isle.
It's a very, very tricky technical track. I mean, look at what happened in IndyCar not that many weeks ago. It was an absolute fest of crashing. It's just embarrassing in certain circumstances. The guys we've got are far more capable than all of the IndyCar drivers in the world, of course, and won't crash at all. He says, after writing his car off many, many hundreds of times at Belle Isle over the years. It's a brilliant track. Is that the one that's getting replaced, or is that Detroit? I can't remember now. This is Detroit, isn't it, Belle Isle?
Yeah.
They're changing it, aren't they? They're getting rid of Belle Isle. They're going to the actual city now. Did you know that? For IndyCar, at least.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Their most famous race is now not going to be there. So yeah, I mean, that one's tricky. It's technical. It'll kill you on any corner, and it's a surprise that Stephen's chosen that when he's not in the TCR, his car of comfort, as it were.
Yeah, and carrying on with the tricky little tracks, we then go to Lime Rock Park Classic.
The one with the big hill or the chicane?
I can't remember if it's got the chicane in it or not, but it certainly goes up that blind hill, and you get airborne at the top, don't you?
Yeah, it's good fun. I've always liked Lime Rock Park. Some people are so bored of racing it because you do that hundreds of times as a rookie, and then every series in the world goes there. It's like racing around a teacup. It's a tiny little track, but it's very eventful. And that start-finish straight is long enough for you to get a decent amount of tow to effect a pass by the time you get into Big Bend, which is turn 1. So, yeah, that one's going to be good for both of these classes, I think. That one's going to be an energetic run.
Yeah, and then we stay tight and twisty. We're back at Winton again. We seem to be there, I don't know, every other week at the moment. But again, it's for me, I know it's a V8 track, but it's a classic touring car track.
It is, yeah, absolutely. What are V8s if they're not like super powered touring cars, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
Yeah. I think that it'll suit both fields for GT4 TCR, absolutely. They're very both classes like tracks like that, but the TCRs favour them more. I think the twisty ones, it's power out of corners, isn't it? It's that quick acceleration you can get. It's not the launch that you get out of the GT4s, but the drag out of the corner in the TCR favours those twisty tracks a little better. They get through the corners a bit quicker. They can affect passes on each other better. I think that one's going to be very good for the TCRs. We've seen them there already, haven't we? They were there last season.
Yeah. And then the second 90-minute enduro, one of my favourites, Road America. Not really much to say about that, is there? It's a classic.
It's a classic, and it's a classic that is great with enduros. There's a few corners that you can mully yourself, but not too many. And that's what lends itself to a good enduro. It's a bit like Daytona Road, isn't it? There's not many corners that you can absolutely get smashed to bits on. Therefore, you've got more chance of actually achieving the full race. And I think that favours both the experienced endurance racers, the experienced racers, and the inexperienced as well.
Indeed. Round 9, Brands Hatch GP. Iconic track, but God, it's hard to overtake, isn't it?
It is. It's sometimes it's easy to overtake in the TCR at tracks where overtaking's not easy. If that makes any sense.
Yeah,
probably not.
I'll change that statement. It's not that it's difficult to overtake. It's easy to defend.
Yes,
because it's narrow.
It is. That's exactly where I was going. It's not the widest track in the world. It's not a Formula One style Tilke 6 mile wide track. It's you've got to be building up an overtake for multiple corners, which I can't do. I can certainly stuff it into druids, like anybody else can, but on any of the other corners around the track, no. It's something you build up. You build up momentum through the corners. You get right on the bumper of the car in front, and then you squeeze yourself like toothpaste down the inside in order to just get a nose in. And it's that type of track. It's where you've got to be a pest to the car in front.
Yeah, I agree with that. Round 10, Road Atlanta. I think the first half dozen times I drove this track, I absolutely hated it. I just couldn't get on with it at all. And then I did an hour session with Tony Kloosterman, I think it was. And after that, it turned into one of my favourite tracks. I don't know what you think of it, Pete. I just think it's a fantastic track now.
Favourite track on any racing game or simulator. It's the first road track I ever drove in anger on the original Gran Turismo, and there was a game before that it was on. I clicked with it instantly. I like some of the features of it, absolutely. Turn 1, I think, is brilliant because it's one of those turns that in some cars it feels like it's off camber and it wants to draw you out into the field that's to the left of it and then the wall. In other cars, you feel like you're absolutely nailed to the road and you just go flying through it. Turn 3, which is the chicane at the top of the hill, is totally blind, and I think that's hilarious. Every time I go through it, I'm giggling, even if I mess it up, which is most of the time. I think it's just hilarious that someone's put a chicane on the top of a hill that's blind. Then you go through that left-hander at the bottom of the S's. The S's, by the way, feel brilliant when you get them right. That left-hander is just a car murdering station. Someone needs to open a wrecker's yard just on the left-hand side because that's where everybody crashes. Then you got the top end, the bone of the pork chop, which is actually two of the most technical turns you can encounter on a racetrack.
There's so much time to be made up there, isn't there?
Oh my God!
If you get it right, if you get it wrong, you just watch cars drive away from you.
Yeah, and overtake you like you're just stood still. And then there's that chicane at the end of that huge straight, which isn't a straight, and then that brilliant, exhilarating, G-force, terrific last turn. I just think that track has, when you say this track's got a bit of everything, that one does.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with you. Round 11, Fuji. So both of the new tracks making an appearance in this season. Obviously, we don't know a great deal about it at the moment, but I'm sure many drivers will get a few laps in either practice sessions or other series. But yeah, it's quite interesting because, you know, as we said before, the championships are usually going down to the wire. And I'm wondering if drivers are going to look at that and go, oh, hang on, new track right near the end. I think I might do some extra practice for this one.
An interesting one. I can't really comment on Fuji. I don't know how the cars will drive around it. Like I say, I've not turned a lap on that one, even though I bought it. But it's going to be an interesting track, and it's in an interesting position in the series. Second to last track. If there is a fight for the GT4 or the TCR crown, then that could be the turning point for one or the other driver. It's going to be good, that.
Yeah, and then we finished the season off August the 31st at what I always describe as a Marmite track, Virginia International Raceway. A track where you always tell us you're going to do well, Pete, and then never do.
I did the last time we were there. I came about third. I think that was my only podium for about 10 years. I like VAR. I made it unnecessarily famous by pitting at the wrong pit lane, if you remember that.
Certainly did, yes.
And it wasn't even the one that you expect. It's not the one on the back. I was doing another race on the infield one, the super long version of the track, and pitted on the infield pit lane, and it was the wrong one. But anyway, I really like this track. When you do, you know after Old Oak Tree, you've got that long straight that goes up, and then you've got that real twisty chicane that's just over the top of the hill. I find that probably one of the most technical series of turns in any racetrack, to be honest. I think really good.
Everything at VIR is just over the hill.
It's true, actually. Yeah.
It seems to have so many blind summits, corners, braking zones. It's for me, it's a track that I've never really got on with, but when you do a good lap round Virginia, you've earned it, haven't you? You can't.
Yeah.
You don't get lucky laps around there.
No, do you know what it's like? And it's another Marmite track. Is Barber.
Yeah.
Lots of similarities between those two.
I don't like that because of the spiders, but
that's a different thing.
If they took the spiders off the track, I'd love it. But yeah, I just get distracted easily. Daytona, I'm driving along. Oh, airplane crash.
Donington.
Yeah. They've got that rocket ship thing, haven't they, at Donington? And then Virginia, it's spider crash.
You might be well distracted on the BSTV barbecue then, because I'm on the flight path for Durham Tees Valley.
Oh God!
We had the Teesside. We had the Teesside air show. Was it last week or the week before? And the red arrows flew over my house, as did. It's not the Eurofighter Typhoons were going over quite a lot that day. What's the other high speed supersonic one that the RAF have got at the minute?
The F-22? Not the F-22, sorry, the F-35.
Yeah, what's the name of that? It's not a Mirage, is it? It's something else.
No, it's begins with T.
Remember now. But that went over my house and tried to suck the windows out of the frames.
Okay. Did you know, here's a little bit of trivia for you. You can apply to the RAF to have the red arrows fly over your house if you wish.
How many millions would that cost you?
It doesn't. It's a public service thing. They don't have to say yes, but you can ask.
Oh dear. Are you phoning them on for next Saturday, are you?
Right, so that is GT4 TCR done. Like I say, we're only one round in so far. So come the next Poopcast, we'll have a lot more to talk about. Right, Pete. So now it's time. Let's hope everything is set up and we can bring in Mary Jackson. Are you with us?
What the Hello.
Hello. Good evening or good afternoon for you. Welcome to the Poopcast. How are you, first off?
I am doing fabulous, thank you. How are you guys?
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, well, apart from Pete, you know what Pete's like. He's a bit old and grumpy. But, yeah, no, we're doing good. My very, very first question for you before we get serious and start talking about racing. We've got a picture up on our screen and it looks like you're being abducted by a couple of Transformers. Would you care to elaborate on this picture for our listeners?
Yeah, actually, they were abducting me because it was my bachelorette or stag, So, yeah, they were putting me in a paper bag because I was a paper bag princess. And they took me and abducted me to a bar where I cannot disclose the details of the evening.
Yeah, I think that's best kept under wraps, isn't it? Please don't mention princess again because you get Pete excited because he'll want to go and put his princess dress on again.
Oh, we can wear matching ones.
See, this is a good interview now.
I can't believe this is going to go on to ladies' fashion.
We can talk Disney princesses later.
Yeah, okay.
Right, so let's get a little bit serious, shall we? So you are the long-suffering wife of Chris Jackson. Now, Chris loves his sim racing, obviously. Chris loves his wife and his children, obviously. And
I hope so.
Well, I did say obviously. Let's say hopefully then. Now, sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to, balance your family life and your work life and your sim life and things like that. But Chris manages it, and he always thanks you for giving him the time to race and things like that. In all seriousness, is that a bit of a break for you more than anything else?
Obviously it is, because anytime that I can get him out of the house and away from us is always welcomed. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, and he talking about Chris and his sim racing, obviously the last few seasons, he's had some absolute fantastic success. Now, when I was taking the racing seriously, my wife Katie would always ask me how the race went, and I was always a bit grumpy if it didn't go as planned, or I was a little bit elated.
Just grumpy then, yeah?
Well, no, I was going to say I was a little bit elated if I finished in the top 50 and it went well. Does Chris get moody when it doesn't go too well?
Well, I would like to say that it's not always Chris behind the wheel.
Well,
so...
we know that.
We know that. We know you. We know you won the championship. It's fine.
Exactly. So I would like to say I do not get moody at all because I'm a winner. So no, honestly though, when he races, he loves it. I mean, I think the person that gives him the hardest time is probably Logan. But no, he's so good about it. Honestly, he just loves joining, and the family that he's created with his sim family is wonderful to see, and I like that he has that. I'm not going to lie, every other Saturday is a bit stressful, but yeah, no, I love that he's doing this, and I love that he gets the chance to meet new people and really do what he loves to do. I know I should probably be roasting him and not actually giving him compliments, but
that'll come. Don't worry.
Absolutely. We'll get there. Don't worry, Mary.
It is. I don't know if you guys know, but it is Father's Day here.
It is here as well.
Oh, it is. Okay, good. See, so I'm doing this for him. So happy Father's Day, babe.
There you go. I think so. Maybe is it Father's Day in America as well?
I would guess so. Yeah, Canada,
Yeah.
America. I think Australia is the only one that has a different, or from what I know, it's a different one.
Okay. So a little bit about you. Obviously, two young children and a grown-up child. What does Mary do to relax? Obviously you work. You've got a house to run. Like I say, you've got 3 kids to look after.
We actually have 4 now because we just got a new puppy
yes, you've got
weekend.
the puppy, and it's already started eating things, hasn't it?
Yeah, it started eating the Oculus cord today.
Yeah, I think I have seen a picture actually. But what do you do to relax? Have you got any hobbies, or is it just get yourself on the sofa and get blindingly drunk and ignore everybody?
That is a great time. I'm not going to lie. I do like to do that. But I also go out every Friday night and play hockey, typical Canadian. So, yeah, I play hockey in a mixed league every Friday evening, and that's kind of like my time to just go out and have fun.
So that's the questions I was going to ask in case she beats me up.
What sprung to my mind then, and I don't think it's logistically possible at the moment, but it might be when the kids get older. I know Chris likes to play hockey.
Yes.
Have you ever played it against each other?
No, we've never. Well, I mean, if you count mini sticks in the basement with Logan, then yes. But on the ice, no. He got me into it about 8 years ago, and we joined a mixed league. So he was very good, and I was a beginner, but we were able to play together on the same team. So that was something that we enjoyed doing together before children. So now, because we have the family, we have separate nights. So he goes out on Mondays for hockey, and I go out on Fridays for hockey.
Okay. So, and I don't know what it's like at sort of, I don't know, club level or amateur level, whatever you want to call it. But I do watch a bit of NHL. I do like my Vegas Golden Knights. I do like to wind Chris up when we beat. Is it the Ducks that Chris likes?
Yep. Yeah.
But it's a violent sport, isn't it? This isn't supposed to be sexist or anything, and I know women play it, but I don't know. I watch women's. You guys have rugby. I know you do. I watch women's rugby a lot in this country because England are pretty good, and I think the ladies are more violent than the men.
I was going to say, we've got a lot of pent up aggression. And if that's our one night to just go out and whoever's in front of us, I'm sorry, but we're laying into them.
Well, that's the way. I suppose that's a legal way of doing it, anyway.
Exactly. Yes.
Where am I actually going with this? Back to Chris again.
Yes.
Now, we had Ant Woodward's new wife, Stacey, on last week.
Yes, she was so lovely.
Yes, and we was trying to get some dirt on Ant, but obviously they'd only been married for 1 day. So, I didn't think she wanted to quite spoil it yet. Now, you and Chris have been married for 9 years?
Yeah, so in August will be our 9th, and we've been together for 16.
Right, okay.
Yep.
So, you must have loads of dirt on him that you can share with us.
I'm trying to, well, I mean, obviously back in the party days before children, I mean, we have a saying, pants off, dance off. So, yeah, that tends to, when the children aren't home, that's a fun Friday evening with some good tunes playing in the background and the wine flowing. But I would have to say probably a more recent embarrassing moment for him. So I don't know if you guys know, but he thinks he's Australian. Like if you ask him what his nationality is, he would say that he's Canadian, but he's like, deep down in my soul, I am Australian.
He's got family in Australia, hasn't he?
Quote unquote family, like they're friends. So, but they're close enough that we would refer to them as family, but they're not blood. Right. So, but yeah, so he spent many, many years down there, and it's like deep rooted into his soul right now. But it's funny because obviously the racing is a tie to Australia for him, driving the V8s. And a couple weeks ago, actually, I came home from my Friday night hockey, and I go upstairs and I see that like a movie was just ending. And I was like, wait a second, what movie are you watching? And he was like, oh, it's just it's something that was from Australia. And I was like, oh my gosh, did you watch that Australian romantic comedy about wine without me? And so he did. He totally put on an Australian rom-com named, what was it called? Something like The Perfect Pair. It's on Netflix, if any of you gentlemen wish to watch it. But it was a romantic comedy based in Australia, and he just missed the land so much that he decided to watch it all on his own.
Has he been to Australia?
Yeah, yes. He lived there for several years.
Oh, okay, that's fine then.
I was so hoping you was going to say it was Debbie Does Dallas or something like that.
Yeah, and
Debbie
Does Melbourne.
And he had his underpants around his ankles and a boomerang balanced on his head.
Hilarious. So that's where the pants off dance off comes in, right? No.
Yeah. Does he think he's Crocodile Dundee? Really?
Actually, one Halloween, he did go as Crocodile Dundee. Yeah, I should find those photos for you.
Oh, yeah, send them in. That's fine.
He had really short, tight shorts.
Oh, my God. Send the pictures. We can make that viral. And you can use it whenever you want. Just send us a message. We can get any kind of revenge you like. Just send us the pictures.
No problem.
We are actually saying it's, all of our wives and girlfriends that we get on. If your other half does piss you off, then, just drop us some dirt. We can do the revenge for you.
So we'll be touching base every week.
Exactly. And just
tens of people will see it.
Yeah. Just in general, while we're on wives and girlfriends, let's be totally inclusive, Pete, and proud and everything else. You don't have to be a wife or girlfriend. You can be a husband, a boyfriend, a significant other. And you can come on the show and have a chat with us. Right, Mary, what else have I got for you? What's Chris's worst bad habit? Does he eat his toenails? Does he leave the toilet
straight away
up? That's usually a good one for women, isn't it?
No, he's a picker, so he'll bite his fingernails or toenails and
what?
Yeah, well, like he's not that flexible. He can't actually put his toes in his mouth, but he'll pick at them, or scabs or anything like that. So yeah, he definitely does that. And actually, it's the most annoying thing. If I hear any type of like nail flicking, he gets a specific look, and he knows he needs to stop.
Is it cold dead stare?
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
After he's picked. Does he eat? Does he
leave it? Clyde, man.
Does he leave it in a pile?
Can't say this to princesses.
I know it. No, it's usually in a pile. If it's like a full-on, nail cut or clip. But if it's a one-off, I'm sure it goes in the mouth.
Oh, I've got terrible sensitivity to these things. Oh dear. Oh, I'm going to go and find my bucket.
Oh, great. Well, there's the first bit of dirt we've got on him. We'll,
there you go.
You know what we're going to have to do, Pete? We're going to have to pick on him.
Hey! That's terrible.
Yeah. Right, so we've got a special section for you now, Mary. We're going to play Name That Tune.
Fun.
We have got some motor racing inspired music. We will play you a little blast and see if you can guess what the tune is. So, are you ready for the first one?
Okay, go for it. Oh my goodness.
What? What's going on?
Oh, he's dead. Oh boy. I don't know who this band is.
Okay, let's stop that. Let's stop the music. Obviously for our tens of listeners, you are a bit of a pop princess, aren't you, Mary? We've got a picture on the screen at the moment with you. I have no idea what you're doing to your belly button in this picture. I don't know if you're trying to put something in there or get a sandwich out of it or something
You know
like
what's so funny is that Chris actually, it's really funny because I didn't know him back then. But today, since I've known him, he actually makes fart noises with his belly button. So it kind of looks like I'm getting ready to do that.
That's hilarious.
So, you had a budding pop career. How many songs did you make?
We had an album, and you know what's so funny? I don't know. I think it was 10 songs.
Wow, 10 songs. Okay.
I mean, it was the early 2000s, so it was like pure pop music, inspired by the Spice Girls and S Club 7.
No, you can't say that. My daughter was mad on S Club 7. And
love it.
Honestly, it was horrible. I can't remember how old she's 20 odd now, married with children, but when S Club 7 actually split up, she was totally devastated, in tears, heartbroken. Do
you know what the worst thing is, Clyde?
Go on.
I've tried to put in that website that's on the on the picture, and it says this website cannot be reached.
Oh, really?
How devastating is that?
Really? That's not
Yeah.
good, is it?
Mary's alternative career has not taken off.
No. Oh, no. This was before internet was real big, and there was no YouTube or anything like that. I think we had Napster back then. No, you can't reach the website. I mean, we could still, pay to keep it active, but really, it'll be the 10 people who would like to. Oh my gosh.
Before that turned up, I was going to say, were you sponsored by a blue jeans and black top company or not?
Actually, that's a Snuggie behind me. Do you know what a Snuggie is?
Not got a clue. Is it a chap with spiky? Oh, right, you're talking about that picture. Okay, got it.
Oh, you're talking about my picture. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, sorry. The picture I just put up is obviously Mary's reaction to hearing her pop song.
That was quick from Chris, wasn't it? That's lightning fast.
We have spies everywhere. Anyway, let's just go back to this picture. I see 6, Mary. What the hell does that mean?
Exactly what it says. I see 6. I see 6 people. There's no acronym.
That took a lot of thought, didn't it?
It did. It took lots. Yep. Remember, we're inspired by S Club 7, which is a number.
And are you 6 a group of friends, or was it like a talent show that threw you together?
It is. Yeah, it was a talent show. So a local radio station was putting it on. So we went through the whole process. I knew one of the girls, so the girl that's bending down. Her and I knew each other, but the rest were all new.
And the bloke with the red spiky hair, has he got some sort of dysfunctional arm?
Doesn't it look like it? That's actually really funny. No.
His hand's going the wrong way.
It is, isn't it?
And the one that's over Mary's shoulder is probably broken.
The one that goes like the other way, his, let me think about this carefully, right arm, that disappears behind the other lady's bottom.
Yes.
It should be followed with a sound more like, hon,
Yeah.
hon, hon.
And did any of the other 5 go on to a successful pop career?
Nope. However, I always think that the gentleman beside me, the one with the red hair, he actually looks like one of the members from NSYNC. So I always think that was funny. But no, I don't think I've lost touch with most of them, to be honest. Or we're friends via like Instagram or something like that. But I don't think anyone else is in music. I mean, I am a karaoke pop star here at my household, but that's as far as it got.
I was just going to say, you know, with now the internet has been invented and YouTube and you know,
Clyde.
What?
If you type IC6 into Amazon, you get a £2,000
reward.
No, exercise bike, but you don't get any CDs.
No, you get nothing.
You know, is there going to be a comeback?
Definitely not. I know. I mean, maybe we'll do like a family band or something like that.
What about, did you have a pop star name like Mary J. Jackson or something?
No, well, I wasn't married at the time, so there was no Jackson.
What was your maiden name?
McLaughlin.
Yeah, Mary J. McLaughlin's just too long, isn't it?
No, yeah, exactly.
Especially for signing autographs.
Yeah, it was just Mary M.
Okay. I'm wondering, Pete. You know, we had the Spice Girls, didn't we?
We didn't, but you know, yeah, I get what you mean.
I was like, they came on this Poopcast. Why wasn't I not on that one?
No, that's next week.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the best we can hope for is Sporty Spice, right?
That's okay.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. It depends which one's more desperate for money at the time.
Well,
it?
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we've ribbed Mary enough.
Well, I was going to ask her.
Go on.
I've got questions.
Go for it.
And not just about. Not at the moment. I mean, I did work for HMV for quite a lot of years, so I could go into lots and lots of questions about industry.
That's awesome.
Did you ever see an IC6 CD in HMV?
I didn't.
Not across the pond.
Funnily enough, no. I don't know why. You know, because it's as big as a surprise for me as it is for you. I was also part of a band many years ago, and we sold 120 CDs in Lancaster City. That was it.
Yeah, Pete.
Yeah, get in. Anyway, think of a time. It was a dark time, Mary, and it was before Chris had found iRacing. What did you do to get rid of him during that period of history?
Oh, that's a good question. He's always been a bit of a nerd, so like Call of Duty, or Need for Speed, or something like that. Like he's always been into video games. So now, I mean, I don't know if I want to call iRacing a video game. I mean, I do for the mainstream people that I talk to.
It's a game, even though they all get very emotional about it. But yeah.
I'm trying not to offend anyone.
Only Chris, probably. Just say he's not Australian. That'll offend him as well.
Yeah, that really will. That'll hurt his heart.
Yeah, we're going to terrorise him for that for eternity, aren't we, Clyde?
Without a doubt.
Yeah. And have you ever jumped into the racing seat of his simulator? I
have, actually. There was a Facebook group called like Wives of Sim Racing or something like that, or iRacing. And
Clyde's busy typing as fast as he can right now. You know that, don't you? He thinks it's some sort of like porn site, but I don't think it is, Clyde. I don't think it is.
No, it's definitely not. So I tried a couple of, they host races. I've definitely tried, and it's fun. I think I'm a bit too competitive, so I definitely wouldn't be as happy coming off the sim as Chris is. So,
and you do know that once upon a time, well, actually, in Chris's first ever race with us, he wiped me out. Now that might not be a surprise to everybody else. It might be a surprise to you because I crashed quite a lot. But and since those days, he was called Crash Jackson for quite a long time because he used to write his car off on a regular basis, and now he doesn't. I want to know what the difference was so that I can reverse it again and give other people a chance. So, in your opinion, what made Chris not crash?
I think it's because we were trying for baby number 2. So he was.
Oh, I remember this. This was the chart and the thermometer and
what? This is new stuff. This is new information that you've not shared with me.
He used to stop like 23 minutes into a practice session and go, "Oh, sorry, it's time."
Just the frequent release probably just helped him be a bit more calm and a bit more zen, that he changed from Crash Jackson over to Champ Jackson.
Wow, I need to change my life quickly. Anyway. Have you got any questions for us?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I am very excited that I had the opportunity to talk with you guys, because I hear so much about you. So it's great to actually, say hi and thank you for featuring me. I mean, I'm honored.
I think we're the honoured ones, aren't we?
Yeah,
I was going to say
we are. I just have obviously a couple of small last questions for you, Mary. Your son Logan, obviously starting to take a lot of interest in what Dad is doing with his racing and getting into it, and we've seen the pictures that he draws, and we've seen the
He's your biggest fans.
We see that he gives his dad lists of things that he's got to do. It must be a bit worrying from a financial point of view that you could have 2 sim rigs in the house soon.
Chris has already talked about that, so we're actually logistically trying to figure out where to put that in our basement. So we need to figure that out because it's quite large. So once we get that, I mean, I'm okay with it. I'm a bit nervous for him to get in a real race car, but I feel like that's going to be coming very soon.
Well, they do start them very, very young, don't they? I know in this country, I think you can start a karting series called Bambino at about 5 or 6, I think.
He turns 5 in August, and I think that there's a go-kart series or something like that you can do when you're 5.
It's not cheap, but it certainly keeps kids off the streets. It teaches them a lot as well. So yeah, I would always encourage it. And Ella, which way do you think she's going to go? Do you think she's going to be a girl racer or a princess?
I think she's going to be a mix of both, to be quite honest. She often comes into the racing rig room and she'll tell Chris, and she'll be like, drive. So she'll want to get on his lap and spin the wheel and all that kind of stuff. So no, she's very much into it, probably because she sees Logan and Daddy, playing with cars and doing all that kind of stuff. So but she'll be doing it in style, so she will be wearing some jewelry or a pretty dress while she does it.
There you go. She's going to be the next Danica Patrick then. Right, last thing, and I think I already know the answer to this. So we was talking to Stacey last time out about doing a Christmas special race where the guys don't get to play. It's just going to be the wives and girlfriends that are racing each other. Are you up for that?
Sign me up.
There you go. I knew I'd already put a tick next to your name, to be honest. So you was in anyway. Anyway, Mary, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, it's been brilliant.
Thank you so much.
I've got to. I know Chris will be listening. I've got to say thanks to Chris because obviously he was feeding me pictures and music in the background. And when he mentioned the pop group, I just grabbed it with both hands and we had to go for it. Incidentally, if anybody wants to buy that single, just talk to Mary and I'm sure she can send you a signed copy. And I think what we'll do is we'll use that to end the show and that can play us out. But yeah, it's been a pleasure, Mary. Thanks for coming on. I know it can be daunting sometimes for people, but it's been a giggle and we've really enjoyed it. How about you, Pete?
Oh, it's been brilliant. Can you come on next time as well?
Of course.
Excellent. Yeah, we can get rid of Clyde then, and it can be the Pete and Mary show.
Perfect. We'll sing a song or do something.
We'll do princess dresses. See, that works for me.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Pete, you're my new BFF now.
Excellent stuff. Carry on with whatever waffle you were talking about, Clyde.
Well, I'm now going to have to think of a new phrase for BFF, aren't I, really? So...
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, Mary, we will let you go and sort your 3 children out. And thanks ever so much for coming on.
Thank you so much, guys, and have a wonderful day.
Yes, nearly bedtime.
Nearly bedtime.
Oh, yes, well, sweet dreams.
So enjoy the rest of your day, and
Thank you.
We'll speak again soon.
Okay, bye, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you very much.
Bye.
So, Mary Jackson there for everybody. Right, Pete. So,
yeah.
That was great, wasn't it? Huh?
That was brilliant.
I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
That was good. Stacey was great as well, don't get me wrong. But if you want your wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, significant other to get in on the show, just drop us a line and we will get something sorted out. Right, next on the agenda, Pete, it is the mighty V8s. Chris Jackson, we've just been talking to his wife Mary. Another dominant season. Took away the championship already, and there's still 1 round to go.
Yeah, he's absolutely trolleyed it, hasn't he? Adam Wright gave it a really good show. Tony Kluseman's had a bit of a rough season, hasn't he? In third, he's had a few crashes along the way. Not all of them are him. He's done a few spins randomly. There was one at, where were we at most recently? Oh,
Winton.
It's a new track. Winton, of course, Winton. And he got a tyre off on the track, do you remember? And he sailed off into the sunset and then rejoined the track later on. And that was kind of what defined his race. Kenzie had a great start, if I remember, then lost love with it and didn't turn up for a couple of races and then rejoined again. But he is an absolute talent. Simon Trendle making
us, didn't he?
I think so, yeah. And who wouldn't? You know,
Exactly.
V8 EST is possibly one of the most long-standing leagues in iRacing, I would think.
Do you know what? You're not going to be far wrong there, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we're groundbreaking. I'm gonna say it right here on this podcast.
Well, the league has been going over 5 years.
Yep, and I joined iRacing in 2013. How many years is that? 9?
Whilst you're waffling,
Yeah.
I'm going to find out.
One does not waffle, I'll have you know.
I am going to look at when we did our first ever V8 race, and I have a feeling it's going to shock me.
Yeah.
But
anyway, I'll carry on talking.
loads
Waffling, as you put it.
of buttons to click. So
yeah. So then we've got Bob Woodhouse, who we've got Simon Trendle, who's making his way up in all leagues, and he's already risen to the top of GT4. Bob Woodhouse, who is getting more and more competent every race. He's getting higher and higher and closer to the podiums. He's had a podium as well in the last few races. Tyler, who is off in a forest somewhere, usually now. He calls it working, but we're not sure. And then Vincent Skilbeck is currently 8th in that particular Simability Cup standings. Obviously, Simability, we are very proud to have them as our sponsor for that one. Jamie Wilson, who is universally competent in the V8 and, has had toe-to-toe rivalries with many people over the years. He's been with us for quite a long time now. Very, very capable driver, 9th in that series at the moment. And then rounding out the top 10, well, I'll stop there, is Ant Woodward, who, again, was one that had lost love with it, fed up with crushing it, and then is back and he's doing really well. I don't know what the hiatus was. He didn't even miss a round, I don't think. But he's back and he's doing really well.
A couple of interesting things in the V8. Incidentally, I can tell you when our first ever race was. It was the 20th of August 2016. So we will be 6 years old.
Wow.
In August. A couple of interesting things. I, as you may or may not have looked at, I created a bit of a stats website. And obviously the V8 stats are the longest ones to compile because it's been going for nearly 6 years, so I've got nearly 6 years worth of data to compile. So I'm doing my last little bit to do is incident points and average incidents per race.
Am I still at the top?
You're not far off. But I think I've done, I can't remember, I've either done the first 3 seasons or the first 4 seasons now. And Chris Jackson, I think, is averaging crap loads.
Well, he did though, didn't he? That's the point.
Just going back to what you were saying to Mary about, how we used to call him Crash Jackson. And now obviously we call him Champ Jackson. He's averaging 19 incident points per race.
Whoa.
And then I bet if you look at the last 2 seasons, he probably averages about 4. So, that's the change round. And also, I think if I was somebody in the league that thinks, I don't know whether I'm getting on all right, blah, blah, blah. I think Chris is a great role model to go back and look at where he was, where he is now, and everything that's happened in between. And I think you can say that it's very rare that we get somebody come into the series and they're a winner straight away. A lot of our winners have worked their way up, haven't they?
Most of them have, yeah. Tony ran away with it right at the start, didn't he? He was the winner for a few seasons right at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Did Johnny Brandon win it immediately? I'm not sure he did. No, he didn't, did he? No, and nor did Foggy. Foggy was in there for a while. There was a chap, and I can't remember, George
McClay.
Yeah, he was brilliant, but he didn't win it, did he?
No, and you look at even if you look at last time out, like I say, Vincent Skilbeck drives in Scops, which is arguably the most competitive league on iRacing. And you have to qualify to race in that. It took him 2 seasons to win a race. Adam Wright is another one that started off slow, built up, and now he's a front runner. if I think next season, Adam Wright is going to be one of my favourites for the championship, because Chris has already told us that he's not going to be able to do a full season next season, so he's not going to be vying for the championship. So that that's going to put the likes of Adam Wright, Kenzie Newhoff, Simon Trendle, if he sticks to it, because I think, like you rightly said, he's getting better and better and better, isn't he?
Oh, he is, yeah, definitely.
I get this. It's going to sound horrible because it sounds like I'm saying it because Chris isn't going to be in it, but I think next season is going to be really exciting compared to the last couple of seasons where we've had a runaway winner.
You might have mentioned it already, but number 15 in our league at the minute, Marco Namela, returning from injury, doing ridiculously well already. I think he's going to be right up there fighting with the top lot again next season.
Yeah, he's another one that has promised to try for a full season next season. I've said this before. I honestly can't for the life of me remember who told me, but they called him the fastest driver never to win the championship.
Yeah.
And that's right. But we got one more round left in this season. That's coming up on July the 9th with an endurance round. Like I say, the Simability Cup is done and dusted. The team standings are done and dusted. What about Ivan Bauman's top of the Logan Jackson Safe Driver Award?
I know. Well, I don't know. Is it surprising? I don't know that it is, But he's one of those people that you were synonymous with him crashing. You were synonymous with him driving with no lights on at Le Mans. You were synonymous with him towards the back end of the field at one time. He's in that middle field now. He finishes every race. He scores good points. Why shouldn't he be the safest driver? And there you go.
Well, if I knew what synonymous meant, I'd have known exactly what you was talking about. But
excellent. Dictionaries are available from Waterstones and all good booksellers.
But, to be fair, the Logan Jackson Safe Driver Award brings home the winner, the most unique award prize on iRacing.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a hand-drawn and coloured picture of the winner's car done by Logan Jackson himself. So that's an absolutely fantastic prize.
It's a bit like getting a Banksy, really, isn't it?
It is. That could be worth gazillions
absolutely
in years to come. Obviously British pounds, because if that was Canadian dollars, that wouldn't be worth nothing.
It would be worth nothing. Yeah, nothing. Yeah.
Fred Bingham Forever Forward Award. Now that was looking a bit done and dusted by Chris Jackson, and then Kenzie Newhoff came back, and that's all buttoned up again.
There's only 3 in it, isn't there, or something like that?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So if Chris doesn't turn up for the last race of the season, I reckon Kenzie's going to get that. If Chris does turn up, then we're in for a bit of a fight. That one's up for a bit of a tussle. Obviously, it's Father's Day, and it was my father, but it's an interesting conversation to have, actually.
Yeah.
I reckon Kenzie might steal that away.
Do you know what? I'm not 100% sure, because it's an endurance race. So there's no reverse grid.
Oh, this is a good point. Kenzie plays his cards right. He may not win the championship, but if he starts at the back and takes a pit lane start, he could win this.
Yeah.
If you're listening, Kenzie, go with that.
And then obviously we've got the head-to-head finals. So the third, fourth playoff is a really interesting one, and quite difficult to call between Vincent Skilbeck and Tony Kloosterman.
Vincent's been doing a lot better. He's been the unfortunate recipient of some crashes along the way, hasn't he? He's been wiped out by other people's crashes is kind of what I mean.
He always seems to have bits missing off his car, doesn't he?
Yes, very much so, and scrapes, and he's missing a wing here and a front fender there, or bonnet there, or whatever, or hood if you're American. But yeah, they're not dissimilar in where they finish in races either, are they? Because Tony has he has great days and he has really bad days, doesn't he? He doesn't seem to have average days, and the same can be true of this season with Vincent. I think that one's a fair game.
Yeah, and then the final that may not be the final. There's a possibility that Chris Jackson isn't going to make it, which will give a walkover to Adam Wright. But assuming he does make it, any sane man would put their money on Chris Jackson. However, it's an endurance race and it's a one-off race. It's not like our sprint feature rounds where you get it a bit wrong in the sprint race, don't score many points, the other person scores a load, you get the decent reverse grid for the feature race, taking them a bag load of points, and you're through or you've won. This is one off, one mistake, and it's all over.
And it's Laguna Seca as well, which you've got the kink, you've got the corkscrew, you've got the first hairpin thing. There's plenty of places that you can disappear off the track, especially in the V8s. I think, you're right. If Chris turns up, it's hard to bet against him. Adam's improved so much in so many cars. He's beginning to get into that annoying category of good in every car, which has to be hated forever. But he could easily take the fight to Chris. It's too much. I'll have to wait and see who turns up.
Right, okay then. So, V8, finishes on July the 9th. Season 12 will start on July the 30th. Details will be out after the end of this season. Right, Pete. This is my favourite part of the show now. Not just for what we bring up, but every time I talk to somebody, they go, you know what you want to put in that 101 thing? Everybody talks about it. So I am going to kick off with this one. And I've gone for rage quitting. Now, I am not one of life's quitters in anything. Anything that I do, I want to do to the best of my ability and for as long as I possibly can. I know I'm not racing at the moment, but I will be back. But when it all goes wrong in a race, I don't quit. I try and get the repairs done, limp back to the pits, get back out again. There's other people going to crash. I'll get some places back. I'll get some points back. But ultimately, I get some more experience and I get some more, shall I say, money's worth out of all of the money that I invest into this game stroke simulation. I get very annoyed when people crash and then you see they've disconnected from the server and they've gone. What are your thoughts on rage quitting?
Do it because, well, generally, if I carry on, I'll finish in the same position anyway, as if I hadn't. I am always drawn back to a race that we had on another simulator, you and I, with Rich, R Factor, and we were racing in the rain, in Ferraris, and I don't know whether you remember this race, but we spent most of it spinning round. And somebody was in that race and they were just immense in the rain. They just carried on like it was a normal track and won. No, it really was not you. If you could have chosen anybody, you just chose the ultimate wrong one. But never mind. And I thought at that time, do you know what? Other people would have just quit, but we're having such a whale of a time. We're carrying on. It was hilarious. It was the funniest race I've ever done in any simulator. I pray for the day when iRacing gets rain, because it will be hilarious for at least 1 month, if not longer. The complaints will be brilliant. But I also get annoyed when people rage quit, and it's not rage quitting for me. It's quitting because they can't win, or quitting because they are no longer participating, and therefore they're depriving other people of the opportunity of having somebody else to race with at the lower end of the racing. You know, the plebs down below with me and probably you and others. It annoys me, rage quitting, because it's not just the person's frustration and therefore them leaving the game. It's them depriving others like myself of the ability to race against them at that point in time. So if we're going to a decision on it, I'm fully supportive of you putting that in Garage 101.
Boom. There you go. Rage quitting has gone. And something that I need to mention about Garage 101, when we first did this, was it Tony that put in porpoising?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, still going on. Didn't work.
I watched. Well, you say that.
Go on.
As I said to you earlier, we had a tremendous storm in Norfolk last night, and Stupid here was up at 4 o'clock this morning. So I thought, oh, hang on, I recorded the Formula One qualifying. I'll watch that. Why Kate was still in bed and the dogs are asleep and all the rest of it. And the cars were going up, bouncing up and down, and they kept saying, but this isn't porpoising. What? And I thought, they must have watched the Poopcast.
I watched the qualifying, and I'm pretty sure that Martin Brundle said that word. You know, the word that we can no longer say. He said
the word, but he said that's not what the cars were doing.
What did he think they were doing then?
It was something to do with them...
Killer whaling or something?
Set up stiff and height raised and something like that. But yeah, no, I thought that was really interesting. Anyway...
Orkering or blue whaling, or that's a different thing entirely. I shouldn't have said that.
You're going to have to explain this one to the listeners.
I've got to explain it to myself first. I know what I mean, but it's hard to convey.
I've just put it down as social structure because it went on for about 14 hours, what he was describing. So over to you, Pete.
I'm going to struggle to get this one into Garage 101. I can see it right now. So, where do I begin? This is exclusively to do with multi-class racing. And this is exclusively to do with... And I shouldn't have said that. This is... I can struggle all night here. This is to do with people believing that there is some higher priority given to the faster class of car in a race. And therefore, obviously, it's to do with multi-class racing. And this cuts both ways. This is to do with the faster class believing that they are in a class structure where they are the dominant car and therefore have a priority over the lower class car. And it's also equally to do with the lower class of car, the slower class of car, and their need to get out of the way. And I've seen it and heard it in a number of races recently, and it annoys me because there is a class etiquette in iRacing's rules and structure. It goes through it multiple times that it's the responsibility of the faster class car to make a safe pass. We say it in all our leagues as well. And people have taken this to a level of it's like working class. Do you remember, Clyde, the was it Little and Large? No, it was Morecambe and Wise, wasn't it? And he the skit went, I look down upon him because he is of a lower class than me, but I look up to him because he is a higher class than me, and all that business. I think this needs to stop now. And people realise that we're just racing a race in a game. and everybody has their own individual race to run. There is no class structure. There is no social structure. It's just part of the experience of racing in that league. And it annoys me that people have an actual belief that there is a difference here. That if you are driving the slower car, you are in a lower class, and therefore you should be getting out of the way. Or I should be getting out of the way because I'm in a slower car. Not the case. You're still in a race.
So now I sort of get what you're on about.
Right.
And yes, I do sort of agree with you. I've witnessed it on numerous occasions where shall we say, the faster car has wiped out the slower car. I've even heard drivers of the faster car shouting then at the slower class driver that he shouldn't have been on the racing line and blah 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 blah. Now my understanding is quite right, as you say, everybody's in a race. The best thing that a slower class driver can do is stay on the racing line and be predictable, and therefore it is up to the faster class driver to make a safe pass. But by being predictable and staying on the racing line, you are making it easier for them. I have been in that situation. I have moved over on occasion when it's safe to do so and made it blindingly obvious that that's what I'm doing. I've also been accused of blocking whilst staying on the racing line. So yeah, I do actually get where you're coming from, and I would go as far as saying that you don't tend to get it from people that have raced in real life. It's mainly people that have never raced, and they probably do actually believe that there is a social structure. Don't get me wrong, you do get some absolute arse wipes, real world drivers that think they've got a God-given right to win everything when they come into sim racing. But yeah, I is it a Room 101 thing? Yeah, I think it probably is. But it's something that needs sorting. And you know, I think we're quite lucky. Our only multi-class series is GT4 TCR. I don't really see it in that. But yeah, some of the bigger endurance races that I watch, there's a hell of a lot of that going on.
To broadcast some multi-class enduros, like proper enduros. Remember we did a couple of 24, 12 and 10 hours?
We did.
I quite liked doing those. I know they were a huge investment of our time, but they were hilarious for portions of them. And that's what we turn up for, isn't it? We don't turn up to be professional. We turn up for the laughs, the giggles, the social society of it. But you got people in there that took it ultra serious, that were ultimately convinced that because they were driving a P1 or a P2, that they were socially higher than the GT3s, etc., that were racing with them. So I find it annoying. I find it frustrating. I find it enraging that people can't be allowed to enjoy. And that's from both sides, because you see people not keeping to the racing line, abandoning their race completely to take a cut at Daytona Road through the bus stop, which gets them a 4 million second slowdown in order to get out of the way of someone who's screaming at them down the microphone, and they believe it, and it's just wrong.
Yeah, well, I think we've both been successful tonight, Pete. I think they are two worthy entries into Garage 101.
Awesome.
Right, our last series to talk about, the Hexeel Alt F4 Championship. Where do we start with this one? So last time out, I don't, if I'm being truthful, I don't think Hockenheim was as good as the previous two races, but that's probably just the nature of the track, do you think?
Surprised that it wasn't. I agree with you, by the way, which is unusual. And I thought it'd be similar to Red Bull Ring, if I was being honest. And it didn't turn out that way. There was portions of it with no competitive racing in the immediate. And for that, it lacked something that Red Bull and Spa had. Where are we next?
We are Interlagos next.
Let's see, that could be all right because it's got that massive start-finish straight.
Yeah, I think that to me it looks like you need a track with a big straight or a knock hill.
Knock hill.
Okay. The tracks in the middle are possibly not going to be as exciting. These cars are built for close racing, aren't they?
They are.
And we've seen some fantastically close racing in this championship so far. So I agree. I'm just having a quick look. The schedule at the moment goes up to round 14 because obviously we try and follow the iRacing schedule. Interlagos next up. I think that's going to be a good one, purely like you say because of that long start finish straight. People are not going to be able to get away from each other. Then we go to Nürburgring Sprint Strecke, which is a track that I've never knowingly raced on anyway. Then we go, the iRacing official schedule then went back to Hockenheim. But rather than repeat that, we've thrown Fuji in there. So we don't quite know what that's going to be like. But again, as we said when we spoke about the track, massive long straight. I think it's going to keep people together. And then
I think that one will be a bit like Spa. When you're out of turn, you're out of La Source, you've made your way through Radion and all that. You've got the massive straight. It was hilarious, wasn't it? I think Fuji will be exactly the same. You might even get more than one overtake in one straight there.
Yeah, possibly. And then we go to Imola, which always gives good racing, doesn't it? I think there's some. I think we're going to get back to where we was, but ultimately, the notes that I made on Alt F4 was, I know we're only 6 rounds in, but it's one of those series that pick any driver from about 6 or 7 and they can win a race. And it's funny because we talk about rage quitting, and I'm now going to talk about a rage quitter. Dominance at Hockenheim from wobbly kneecaps.
Yeah.
And that was proper dominance, wasn't it?
It was absolutely. That's not the notes that I made about this, funnily enough. So the notes that I made about this were Imola will be not such a good race because it's
really?
not. Yeah, it's not good because of the new rules about the corners. The track limitations, particularly around Variante Alta, which is the last of the proper chicanes, before you get into, is it Radion? No, that's at Spa. What's the one at? Oh, never mind. The double left-hander before the end of the lap. I thought the track restrictions that have imposed. Rivazza, well done. That's a good memory.
No, I've got the track map up.
Oh, right, okay. At least you were honest. I think the track limitations that they've imposed on that track might make it annoying, but you're right. The rage quit situation could get annoying at Imola as well, because it's going to be dead easy to pick up multiple incidents on corners.
Yeah, I don't. Imola for me, I've never done well in any car around there, but it's a track that I really enjoy watching racing on. So I'm probably a bit more hopeful than you. But the standings are up on the screen at the moment. Jamie Wilson had a couple of wins, didn't he? I can't remember where that was, but that shuffled him up to the top of the pile.
Red Bull.
Gary Craig is a consistent point scorer. I think Jason Morris is he could have won that race, couldn't he? But every time he could have won both races, but every time he got in the lead, he decided to have a little spin and let everybody else catch up. So,
the rest of my notes for this one are: this was supposed to be a casual league, and yet everybody's now decided to set up practice sessions.
Yes, that was funny, wasn't it?
And they are taking this remarkably seriously. And it's great for the league. However, I think it caught people out at Hockenheim. I think there's a portion of people that did an arrive and drive, and a portion of people that really did some serious practice.
Yeah, and well, it's going to be when are we in action? July the 2nd. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? The week before, seeing like you say, what road people go down. Do they go down the practice road? Do they go down the arrive and drive road? We've marketed this as, and it is, to be honest, the ultimate arrive and drive series, because there's very little setting up on the car. There's an hour practice before you start, and providing you've got a bit of a straight, you shouldn't get left behind anywhere, and you should be in the mix. So, it's interesting that it's started off as a giggle, but it's slowly creeping into the serious side of things, isn't it?
Symptomatic of people enjoying it. They want to take it seriously, and that's a key point of all our leagues, isn't it? The BSTV one, people they join it skeptically, maybe, and then they enjoy it probably a little too much for their own surprise, and then they want to get good at it, and that's where we're at now with the F4, with the Alt F4.
But how? I know you said you was going to do some of the F4 official races. Now we've, on the whole, seen that they've been very clean races, haven't they? So far. Now, have you done any officials? Are the officials clean, or are they a bit of a nightmare, as some official races can be?
They're a gamble, if I'm being honest. I was lucky enough to be in the top split for the one that I was in, and I got quite a lot of championship points for where I finished, and it was reasonably clean. But I'll be able to tell you more on that on future episodes of the podcast, because I've not done that many. We're planning, myself and Gary, on representing BSTV and the officials more this season. I can't race the Hexial League because I need to be in the booth, but I'll be able to definitely comment more in future podcasts. It'll be... I like open wheelers. I've always been reasonable at them. I liked the Pro Mazda when that was around, if you remember that.
Never drove it, but I remember watching a couple of your races.
Really?
Well, part races, shall we say?
Yeah. And the Star Mazda before that was a good car. I did quite well with that, to be fair. And I always liked the Dalaras, all of them that we've driven. The classic Dalara was my favourite, even though that's a legacy car now. We had a great league with that, didn't we?
We did.
Yes. And the P2, we had a great league with that. That was good. The HPD, I mean, not the LMP2 as it is now. That was a dawning experience for me, racing that car in our leagues, because that one was the first time I'd driven anything that went quite that quickly, and it was a bit of a shock. But I've always enjoyed those super fast cars with the high downforce. So yeah, I'll be able to comment more on the F4 a little bit later in the season, I think.
Okay, well, that's the roundup of our leagues done. So we got a busy July, Pete. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 broadcasts in July, including the Poopcast. So just quickly run through it. On the 2nd, Alt F4 round 7 and 8. On the 3rd, GTCC Grand Touring Club Cup is back for season 3, and that is going to be our first round. GT4 TCR round 4 on the 6th. V8 ESC final round of season 11 on the 9th. Back to GT4 TCR on the 13th. Second round of GTCC on the 17th. Then we've got 2 lots of GT4 TCR on the 20th and 27th. We start the new season of V8 ESC on the 30th. And then we are back on the very last day of the month with episode Cats of the Poopcast. So any final thoughts from you, Pete, before we wrap up this Poopcast?
I think for our viewers who are racing cars already, they need to join 2 particular leagues. V8 ESC, just to get a handle on how you should race a car, and GTCC, because that one has the ability to become a massive league. We had it previously, it was very popular. GT cars are very stock and standard. They're quite hard to master, but I think it's an enjoyable experience for everybody, as long as the attitude is correct. And also, for anybody watching who is the partner of someone who does a lot of iRacing, get involved in it and get involved in our Christmas. What have you called it, Clyde?
I haven't really called it anything at the moment.
Have you not?
I haven't put too much thought into it, to be honest. Apart from I've got a piece of paper with potential racers on it that I'm ticking off as they give me the yay or nay.
Right.
But I'm thinking, a couple of races in the same evening, maybe an oval race and a road race, and yeah, take it from there.
I want to do the Race of Champions this year. We haven't done it for a few years. There was one year that it was not a flop because it clashed with something else, and I think we need to do that as a social event. And I think everybody needs to tune in very much for the Poopcast episode Cats, because I will have my camera on and I will be ensuring that my cats are a feature of that podcast.
There you go. Obviously, massive thanks to Mary Jackson for joining us and being our iRacing wag tonight. Really enjoyed that. We'll leave up on the screen what's going on in July. There are spaces in all of our leagues. As Pete says, there's something for everybody there. If you want Arrive and Drive, it's the Alt F4 open wheelers. If you want some can be serious GT3 racing, GTCC. If you want to join one of the cleanest leagues on the service, GT4 TCR, and if you just want the most massive driving challenge of your sim racing career, then V8 ESC is for you. Or you can be like some of our drivers and drive in all of them. That's how good these leagues can be. Obviously, big thanks to Pete as well for giving up his time to help me with this. We are back on Wednesday when we've got GT4 TCR. I think that'll be round 3, round 2. I never know. I'm lost already. And finally, again, if anybody is at Croft for British Touring Cars this weekend, give us a shout, and I'm sure we can meet up for a cold one. So I shall say good night. Let Pete say good night, and then we'll close this episode TWAT of the Poopcast. So good night, everybody, and stay safe.
Enjoy your sim racing and stay safe.